hosts, Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci, and remember to subscribe to us on all of the major platforms, and please leave us a 5-star review. Also, please subscribe to the Give Us a Shot YouTube, Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. Thank you to Nicole Thompson for the wonderful introduction, as always, and to our guy Mike Regina with the JT and the Don pump up music. We have a very special episode today. We got a first-time guest on, but first, let me welcome in everyone's favorite JT, Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
Great. It's always great when we have guests because I get to hear them talk more, and that means you just shut up. So, hey, I appreciate you bringing on somebody that makes you talk less.
Hey, same for you. Keep the words at a minimum. Let the guest do the speaking. He's the expert. So let's welcome to the show. He's a first-time guest, our resident basketball expert. He's a longtime high school basketball coach and former basketball legend at Central High School, class of 1988, and former Albany State Rams basketball player out of Georgia, and UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County player, Larry Legend, Larry Franklin, Coach Franklin, as I call him. Thank you for your time to come on the show. We love having you here. We're excited for you. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Really appreciate you guys having me on. And JT, feel free to call me Jerome anytime you want, man. It's all good.
All right. Yeah, he gave me permission, so I can do
yeah.
it
I like my middle name. I'm good.
Oh man, Coach.
I'm definitely glad to be here. I appreciate you guys and love watching you guys and listening to you. So it's great to be here.
All right. Well, as fans and listeners, as you can tell, it's going to be a lot of basketball. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the wisdom that Coach Franklin's about to spit here. So let's first start off with some basketball, but from the WNBA. The story this past weekend was from the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever game in the foul by Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. So, Coach Franklin, you're going to start off the show. First question, you're the leadoff guy. Are players being more physical, in your opinion, than usual with Caitlin Clark in playing dirty, or is this just a game of basketball?
Oh man, as I ponder that question, one of the things that I kind of took that in two different parts of that question. One, the part about, is it just basketball and physical, and then the part about, is it dirty? I'm a firm believer in physical basketball, but I'm a firm believer that you do it within the confines of the game, within the rules of the game. So some of the things that I've been seeing going on with Caitlin Clark, I feel like outside of the rules of the game. I don't like those things, but the physicality, I don't have any problem with that, especially when you're talking about a young player new to the league. Unfortunately, this is kind of the way it is. You go through the ropes, and people are going to test you, see what you're made of. They're going to try you, see if you're going to fight back, see if you're going to fall to the side. Now, how you going to respond? So I think that I think that some of it is dirty, but I also think that some of it is just basketball. It is just basketball, and but I do think that the spotlight that's on Caitlin Clark is going to magnifying all of these things, no matter what, whether we like it or not. It is definitely magnified because it's Caitlin Clark. Absolutely.
All right, JT, what do you think?
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up Jerome on that great answer, but I'm gonna
That,
say
that was like
both.
that was to the point. That was exact. I mean that was a good breakdown right there.
I'm gonna have to push back a little bit. I'm gonna say both. And you see this in any sport. Whenever an athlete comes into the pros and they have this ridiculous hype, but they're unproven, everybody wants a piece of them. I mean, Jordan went through it, Bird, Magic, LeBron, Don, Sidney Crosby went through this. Like, everybody goes through it. Like, this is no different. Now, in this specific situation with Kennedy Carter, like, let's be real. Yes, we saw them body check her, but I saw a video too before that where she elbowed the girl in the face. So I think the fact that her teammates didn't do anything about it maybe says a little bit about the situation. I think, we got to actually watch the whole situation play out. But every star goes through this. Like, if you are a star that comes into the league and they're like, you're going to change the game and you have all this hype, like, everybody going to come at your throat, and she's no different.
Absolutely.
So let's post Darth Germ. The fact that so many outlets are talking about Caitlin Clark proves she is the true needle mover in the NBA. Kind of along those lines, I want to first start and say, what's that marketing phrase, JT? All publicity is good publicity. Like,
Angel Reese understand that.
Like, listen,
Angel Reese got the easy mindset. That's what I love about it. She understand that.
I learned that in Marketing 101 at the great University of Robert Morris, Bobby Moe. And like, look, we're starting the show off with it. First Take has been talking about it. Pardon the interruption. There was a great debate last night on Stuff About Sports on the Give Us a Shot network as well. Like, we're all talking about it, right? And I think going back to the question and what Coach Franklin said, like, I think up until the Kennedy Carter foul, I don't think any of it has really been like truly dirty at all. I think it has just been physical basketball. Now, I think that some of the differences are, picking up Caitlin Clark 94 feet from the basket. Again, that's not dirty. That's just playing physical basketball. So I think in a way it's a compliment to Caitlin Clark that teams are so invested in defending her. But I think up until that foul, it had been clean. Again, a little bit over the top at times. There's a clip of, I think, one of the LA Sparks players was going for 2 free throws at the line, hit the first one, immediately ran to defend Caitlin Clark. And it's like, hold up, this is a scoring league. Everyone wants to score, and she was so focused. She forgot she
had to shoot another free throw.
Yeah, they were like, yo, you got to go back to the line. I mean, so I think that tells you some of the mindset of what players are going in to those fever games in terms of how they're gonna play her. So whether there's a little bit of chippiness,
let's be honest.
That's going to happen when you have a popular player.
Yeah, but let's be honest though. Like, this is what Diana Taurasi said was going to happen, and when she said it, everybody said she was an old ass hater. Like, she literally told y'all this is what's going to happen. You know why? Because when she came into the league, she was hyped up, and she had to find out the hard way. Them girls don't play. Like, they do this for their livelihood. Like, and she's seen other great players come into the league that have accomplished more than Caitlin Clark go through the same thing. Like, it's a physical league, and I think what's happening more than anything is you're finding out how many people don't watch women's basketball because they've always been that physical in the WNBA. Like, that's not shocking to me. So I don't think it was dirty. I think it's one of those situations where it was in that particular game where something earlier set her off and she got her get back. Like, that's sports. Like, Draymond Green kicks people in the nuts every third game. Well, I mean, that's dirty. But I mean, he's still up doing, the sideline report in every game like it's all good. So for one retaliatory move, I don't want to say it's dirty.
Well, I'll push back on 2 things. One,
of course,
I do understand rookies and popular players. People will go at them. There's no doubt. But even Rebecca Lobo said it yesterday. I think in the pregame or Sports Center. We're seeing historic defense against her. They're picking her up 94 feet from the hoop. Come on, JT. Like, we weren't around to see, Jordan's rookie year. And
you were what, 20 by then by the time he came to the league?
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to put us in the same category, bro.
We were able to see LeBron, though, and even Wemby. No one's picking those guys up, even in their
prime. First of all, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. First of all, I'm not so sure, and Coach Jerome, you can back me up on this or not.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that the picking her up 94 feet is because we absolutely have to pick up this girl and she'll demolish us, or it's like we just don't want her to do anything that's going to set off this crowd. We don't want her to be successful. Our success hinges on shutting her down and proving everybody wrong. I think that's playing into it. And then you're bringing up, oh, nobody did that to Wemby and LeBron. You know why? Because they can't. There's a reason why LeBron isn't getting bodied like that early in the league, because he's physically more mature than a lot of guys in the league. Same thing with Wemby. Like, he's a freak. Like, sometimes you can't full on bully guys because they're young, because they just that physically gifted.
So JT, you got a point. You bring up a really good point there about the 94 feet. I don't think the 94 feet is because they have to do it. I don't believe that. One of the things that we, coaches and those that play the game, sometimes we realize that, okay, what is Caitlin Clark good at? Caitlin Clark will shoot from the logo. That's one of the things they talk about all the time. Caitlin Clark can dish the ball. Caitlin Clark can handle. Caitlin Clark can pass. She can find people. One of the things that you can do to a player like that, if they're really good at those things, you have to try to find a way to make them do some other things to try to make those things she's really good at less effective, if possible. And so by playing her in 94 feet, what happens is now she has to work to bring the ball up the floor. She has to work before she gets to the logo. She has to work before she gets to the paint to make those passes. So it's just adding another, and that is not something that you saw happen to her a lot in college. Like, teams didn't pick her up like that. That's why she stepped across half court and take a shot. More teams should have picked her up like that, I think, because she was shooting from that range, and it was not just every once in a while. That's where she shot from. And so, so I do think that it's more to it than just, we have to pick her up 94 feet. No, we're picking her up 94 feet, in my opinion, because we need her to work before she gets to her working area. We need her to work before she gets to work. How about that? Let me say it like that. We need her to work before she gets to work in her work zone.
Coach Franklin throwing down some knowledge. The other thing I want to push back on here to you, JT, and Coach Franklin, you can chime in too, because I don't know if you addressed it. But JT, it sounded like you said you felt the Kennedy Carter play was not dirty. I mean, it got upgraded. Hold on.
Let me rephrase this. I know what you're going to do with this.
Okay. All right.
I felt it was retaliatory based on the evidence that I've been presented. So I put myself in that situation. If I felt somebody did something to me in a game that was missed, like especially like elbowing me in the face and hooking me down, and nobody said anything, I'm gonna give them a little. It's no different than when they're like, oh, you put a little hot sauce on the ankle. Like, if it's retaliatory, like, is it really dirty? Like, that's just give back.
It's still a dirty play.
Can you go too far? Can you go too far? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think she went too far? No. Like, they body slammed Angel Reese, and it was a common foul. Caitlin Clark.
Hold on.
Gets retaliated against.
So you want full context. You want full context. Two things on that. I think Caitlin Clark also took an elbow earlier in that game from a big, but then two, Caitlin on Angel Reese, you got to give the full context. When they ran down the court in that game that you're talking about, where Angel Reese got hip checked to the ground, put on her back, you forget, as they're running up the court, she tried to do it first to the player. So then it was about positioning in the paint, and Angel Reese wasn't ready for it. So that's why she ended up on her back. So, like, I get what you're saying, but then give the whole context too if you want to include the whole context. That's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day,
I didn't think it was dirty.
At the end of the day,
I think that's what happens in the game.
At the end of the day, if the Caitlin Clark elbow was intentional, yes, then that would be dirty. If it wasn't, and you come back and take a shot like that when the ball hasn't even been inbounded yet and we're not in the course of play, then it's okay to say it was a dirty play. It doesn't make Kennedy Carter a dirty player, but that specific play can be dirty.
So that's the internet. You would think that girl got a rap sheet.
Right.
Now that's a whole different game.
I said, give the full context. That's true.
But I just explained it. It doesn't make her a dirty player. I'm saying that specific instance was a dirty play. I'm not saying everyone's been
Draymond Green.
Well, she is not. She is not. All right.
Hold on. Before you go, you got to read this, because This is the biggest Caitlin Clark fan on the planet that did not watch women's basketball. Probably still don't, but we gonna shout him out anyway. Go ahead, dog. You got
you got to read it. You brought it up.
You got to read it. You got 4 eyes. I got 2. Read it.
Well, everybody can read that unless you got a comment on it, and then we'll throw this one in there too. Germ, right? So
you know what, Germ? We love you on this show, but I don't want to hear nothing from you until you start rocking some Caitlin Clark gear. So you either get the throwback Iowa 22 or you getting this new one. Like until you get some gear from her, I don't want to hear nothing from
you. All right, so Coach Franklin.
Yes, sir.
What should, based on everything we've talked about, is there anything, and if so, what should the WNBA or Fever do to combat this?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I think that, you know, the one thing, and it's interesting that, you know, because this topic obviously is so popular right now, and everybody's talking about it. I heard, I believe it was Kenyon Martin, you know, was talking about this, and one of the things he talked about when it came to the team was that, you know, well, somebody else said on the show, the teammates should step up. They should step in and help her and protect her and do all these things. And Kenyon Martin was like, no, she needs to defend herself. Like she needs to take a step and let them know that, hey, this is not how it's going to be. You know, don't allow people to do that. And, you know, and he talked about different ways to do it. And so I don't think anything needs to happen at the WNBA level. I think that it starts with Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark has to stand up for herself. I agree with that statement that she has to stand up for herself. And when she does that, maybe then her teammates will do more, you know. And JT mentioned about the teammate running to go, to help her when she had the free throws. You know what I mean? So maybe more start happening if she starts to step up for herself. I think that the league is changing. You know, let me tell you this. It's beginning to change, and it's going to continue changing because of what's happening, what has happened over the course of the last couple of years, and really leading into this year with all the hype with Caitlin Clark coming, with Angel Reese coming, with Asia Wilson, with all of that new breed coming into the league. It's going to naturally change, just like it did in NBA. You know, the NBA did the same. It happens. You know, that's why we can't have conversations about NBA. And, you know, and somebody always says, I'm probably that guy that says, like, I don't like to compare like Jordan to guys of today. You know, I don't, and we had a conversation on our trip talking about that. You know, it's like Jordan was my guy. You know what I mean? LeBron's my guy. But I don't try to compare the two just because it's hard. It's hard for me to do that. Just because they play in different eras, and it's very different. I think that what's happening to WNBA right now is a new era is beginning, and I think that we're going to see. Rule changes, from WNBA because Caitlin Clark. We need Caitlin Clark shoot from the logo, and so we need y'all to stop beating her up. Okay, so we had Jordan rules. You know, team now we're gonna have Caitlin rules. I mean, so it's like. All of these things is just going to change naturally. And I don't think the NBA should do anything in particular about this. Let it happen. But Caitlin needs to start protecting herself. I know that.
Coach, not comparing players from different eras. I mean, that's no fun then. I mean, JT and I love doing that all the time. We do that all the time. We have our Mount Rushmores and who's in, who's out. JT,
I done started something.
I'll tell you what. Oh, we gotta go to this comment. Germ says when 2XL jerseys get stopped. Hey, I got news for you, bro. They've been there, so go pick them up.
Hey, and Germ, one other thing, man. It's because all the weights you lift, man. Come on.
I know, man. He out there doing them Bobby Lashley workouts and stuff, man. But I hope they don't go that route of giving her the Caitlin rule. There's a reason why Jordan got them rules. He came into the league averaging 28, 6, and 6. So if Caitlin was doing that, then I'm like, all right, hold up now. We need to see more of this. But
let's be fair. Let's be fair. It's because MJ couldn't beat the Pistons. Let's face it.
But he had shown enough to warrant like, okay, like we know he can do it at this level. We just need to manufacture the word he can do it more. Like
he could not beat the Pistons.
Like, let's be real. Like Caitlin's not to that level yet, even though I think she can get there. I agree with you. The WNBA shouldn't do anything but what they've been doing. Ride this gravy train and keep marketing and making these new stars that people like more visible. They don't need to do anything different. Now, what do the Fever need to do? I want to start with Caitlin Clark. She do need to get tougher. And I feel like her body language tells me she is having a tough time adjusting to the professional lifestyle of WNBA, like the physicality, like what it takes to go through and be a pro at that level. And let's keep it real. I think she's having a hard time adjusting to being around her new coworkers. And they can pick up on that because I see these other rookies that are in the league, their teammates love them. Like Cameron Brink having the time of her life. Angel Reese and Cardozo, they love them in Chicago. Her own teammate, Barton, every time I go on social media, they're doing some fun prank with her. She's dancing with them. They're leaving her behind. Like, she's ingratiating herself. I don't know what's going on in Indiana, but Don, we talk about this all the time. If this were football, and let's say Caitlin Clark was the quarterback, and she just got knocked out and no old lineman went to pick her up, what would we be saying? We'd be like, all right, like, we need to understand why are they not rushing to the defense of this star player? So I don't know what she's got to do behind the scenes, but she's really got to ingratiate herself with her team so that they want to stick up for her. And then for the Fever, they need to get an enforcer. And I know one person for the job. She's already done it before. And I know nobody in the WNBA want to mess with her. That's Liz Cambridge. Go get her. She done this before. LA Sparks, she was a menace in the league. International play, Olympics, menace. Like, I know if the coach brought her in and was like, hey, look, we need to protect Caitlin at all costs. Oh, you need to say no more, coach. I'm beating up everybody. So they need to go get somebody like her or go get her until Caitlin Clark gets tougher and figures it out.
Well, in terms of the WNBA, what they can do, I mean, they already upgraded the foul to flagrant one, had mentioned that, which I think was the correct move. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think that right now they need to change anything unless it gets really out of hand. Like if there's fighting all of a sudden, and that's
fighting this league,
and that's the center of. Yeah, but what I'm saying is now a lot more people are watching the product. You don't want this to turn into a circus, right?
Who cares? You have people don't fight in other leagues and other sports.
I understand, but
don't like
you can't have it. You don't want it every night. It doesn't happen.
Why can't you have it?
I'm saying you don't
say
want
the quiet part out loud. Why we can't have it?
You don't want it every night. It doesn't happen every night.
I do.
In the NBA.
I want it every night. Well, I want to see it.
I don't know why you're promoting violence.
I'm not, but we accept this
you
in
kind
other
of
sports.
are.
We do.
But listen, so right now you don't want the officials to obviously no favoritism, right? So everything should be kept the same, like I said, unless it gets out of hand. The Fever, listen, with all due respect, Coach Franklin, the Fever need to defend their teammate. I know you're saying she got to learn how to handle that, and JT saying she has to get tougher. So I'll take that tougher.
I said her
portion
teammates
first.
do got to defend her too now.
Yeah. I know, but you also say she needs to get tougher.
She does.
Yes, maybe physically she does, and that'll happen throughout the league. But again, everyone wants to compare it to the Jordan rules and how then he started weight training and that's why he won. No, the reason why he beat the Pistons, they were past their prime. He had lost 3 straight times in the playoffs, and they were beyond their prime. The next year, Isaiah tears his Achilles, and he's done. So let's not act like Jordan lost one series to them, and all of a sudden he came back muscular and manhandled them. But the other part, going back to what Coach Franklin said, and I agree with you, JT, that they got a defender. Coach Franklin, someone gets hip checked like that in the NBA, the guy that was inbounding the ball in the plays blown dead, I'm not saying throw punches or elbows, not at all.
You saying do a dirty retaliatory punch? No, you gotta advocate that.
No,
come on.
I'm not. I'm saying
there's violence on this podcast.
No. There's got to be a confrontation. They have to know it's not okay to do that to the star player. They've got to know that. Again, I'm not saying any physical contact, but there's got to be a face-to-face at that point, knowing that's the last time you're going to do it. And if you do it again,
here's the part you're missing about that. I think the Fever teammates can do that. The question you need to ask yourself is, why are they not?
All right, so JT,
why are they not doing that? Because if this was any other sport, you only do that to teammates you do not like.
I understand that. And this is my only rebuttal to that. Because you're right. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But this is my rebuttal to it, and Coach Franklin mentioned it, and I think you did too. You've got to ride the wave. If you're not winning games and you're on that fever team, you better protect the star player, not only of the team, but of the league, all right? Because that is where your money at the end of the day is going to come from. And I don't care what everyone has said about, well, the league came before her. There's been other great players. There have. We've never denied that. You've never denied it. I've never denied that. There will be great players.
Every time I turn her on TV, she's the greatest women's basketball player of all time.
No one. Well, some people may have said that.
I literally saw that today on FS1.
I am not saying that. But what I am saying is she's the person that if this league is going to go to the next step, if they're going to elevate and become, that household TV contract, this is the player that has to do it. So you may feel however you want about her if you're her teammate, but you better get on board, because if not, one, you're not going to be with the Fever very long, or two, you're not going to be in the league, or three, you're not going to make that much money because Caitlin won't be able to elevate the WNBA to the next level. Because there's been so many great players, but why are they still in this situation of being so undercompensated?
You know why?
TV contracts.
All right.
So,
well, hey, look.
So I'm gonna have to rewind the tape, because I thought if I did not say that, I thought I said that the teammates should defend her, but she needs to defend herself. So I agree that the teammates do need to defend her.
I'm just saying.
However,
I'm saying in that particular situation, that's not a position where she should have to defend herself. The other things, the tough fouls, that's all fine. But that was a situation that was like a little personal. And that's where the team, she has to feel as a rookie, you've got my back.
Hey, that's even more reason I think that she needs to defend herself if it was personal, in my opinion. If it's personal, that's even a bigger reason. And again, it doesn't have to be dirty. It could be the next time. It doesn't have to be immediate. It could be the next time down the floor. It could be the next time we find ourselves going through the paint. It'd be the next time I find myself, running through coming off a screen. Whatever the case is, but it could be, she needs to make note of it, and and make sure that she remembers these things that have happened. And again, it doesn't have to be dirty. It could be within the confines of the game. I mean, you can sneak them one time, on the rebound. However you want to do it. But you can be physical. You can definitely be physical without being dirty. But also, her teammates, yes, should defend her. But as somebody who's played the game in various sports, it's like, if I got a teammate that's not going to fight for themselves, why am I going to fight for them?
Well, so
that's a mic drop. I think you just need to end it right there.
I'll leave it at this.
And hold on, shout out to Martin. He's basically agreeing with everything we've been saying. The league has always been physical. It's suspicious that her teammates have not come to her defense.
I agree with that.
And he agrees that they don't have any enforcers on their team. So shout out to Martin. And also, you guys got to go listen to Protect Our Queens podcast, which Martin does. Great insight to women's basketball. But he's 100% right, and he agreed with the GOAT.
But that statement is a little, you just kind of try to summarize, but his statement's right on, where it says it looked bad that no one came to her defense. That was my whole point of it. Like, I want teammates that no matter what happens in the locker room, and I understand, JT, we don't know what's going on, but no matter what happens in the locker room, coach, you're a coach, right? No matter what happens in that locker room, no matter what personal stuff we got going on, I want to know that you would have my back. So it looks bad. I don't know if that means it looks bad on Caitlin or her teammate, but it just looks bad. So someone in that organization, someone in that locker room, it's got to get fixed, because that looks bad. That's all I'm saying.
So Caitlin defended herself, need to start in the locker room. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe she got to defend herself in the locker room.
Caitlin probably did ask her teammates, why you didn't step up for me? Why you ain't say that when we was out there? That's probably what they told her. She got to defend herself. So,
man, there's a bunch of Coach Franklins on that team. They tough. They're not having any of that.
Hey, right. Coach, you work with me all year. I'm a nice guy. I don't even yell at the kids.
Coach Franklin, no, you are a great guy. I mean, there's no doubt there. That's why we got JT on the show promoting the violence. So Coach Franklin, are the new fans, and we say quote unquote new fans, the ones that maybe have not watched an NBA game at all prior to this season, are they here for Caitlin Clark or for the controversy? And if it's for the controversy, is that really something that the growth of the league can sustain based off of just that reason for watching?
Man, you write these questions, Don?
You know who writes them. It's JT. They gave him creative content control, Coach. It's called creative content control. They gave it to JT.
It's called You Ain't Got No Imagination, and we be talking about parlays.
I asked the question because it's a really good question. It's a whole lot of different things you can get out of this thing. So let's just take the are they here for the controversy? Are they here for the controversy? Or the defensive part or the controversy. So I think it's both. I think that people feed off of all of, so you got the fans that will watch because they're looking forward, or they're trying to see what the hype is all about, right? They keep hearing about this Caitlin Clark. They hear about injuries. They hear about Cardoza. So they hear about these new players. So, and Clark is who we're talking about now. So they hear the hype about Caitlin Clark, and they want to see, right? Then you have those who kind of dip their toe in the water during the NCAAs over the last couple of years, and they've heard about this Caitlin Clark, and they've heard about all of the hate and the controversy between her and other players, throughout the country, and now she's coming into the league, and then they hear Diana Taurasi, talking about what's going to happen when she gets there, and all these different comments and talking heads. So now the controversy piece slips in, and so now you have people that you're drawing people in that way. So I think it's both. Now, as far as controversy, do I think that can sustain the growth of the league? Sustain, I don't know if I would use the word. I don't know if I would use the word sustain. Although it will bring some people in each year as things start happening. Whether it be rule changes, whether it be she becomes this great WNBA player, those things are going to help with it. So it could pull some of those people who came for controversy to become fans of the game. I think that when you start to watch, any sport you might peep at, you can get drawn in, if it's good, if it's like, I like really good women's basketball. I don't like really bad women's basketball. Men, I can watch really good or really bad with men because of the athleticism, right? So it kind of makes a difference for me. But I really love women's basketball and college basketball, women's basketball. So, so for those people who might dip their toe in it for the controversy, some might get sucked in and stay. But that controversy is not going to. I don't believe controversy will sustain the league, at all. I don't believe it will sustain the league at all. But there are a lot of fans who did come for Caitlin Clark because they heard the hype and they're ready. They want to see something different. It's new. It's like getting a new toy in the WNBA. That's what it feels like. Getting a new toy.
Martin agrees with you. Spot on. JT, do you agree?
I mean, I can't follow that up, but I mean,
Next question.
I agree with you to an extent. So I do think majority of these new fans are here for the controversy, and it has nothing to do with the game of basketball. It's because she's a white woman who dominates a majority black sport, and she's doing some things that we've never seen in the women's game. So they're attaching themselves to her. So that's in a nutshell what's bringing all these viewers in. Now, is the controversy aspect a sustainable model to grow the league? Well, it depends, because Caitlin Clark is either going to be one or two things. She's either going to be Tim Tebow or she's going to be Tiger Woods. Ooh. And depending on which one she becomes, we'll answer that question. Can controversy sustain the growth of the league? Because if she's Tim Tebow and she don't live up to the hype and she's not good, she's going to be out the league. And all those people that came to see her succeed and all the people that came to see her fail that weren't there before, they're going to leave. But if she's Tiger Woods, comes in, revolutionize the game, just as an all-star level player, and she looks fun doing it, then yeah, like the controversy will still be there. There'll be people that hate her and want her to fail. There'll be people that want her to succeed, and that will grow the league. So it really depends on what she does as a player and what her success level is that answers that question. So I can't tell you if it's sustainable because it's her and she's so unique.
Well, I'm going to answer that second part first. If it is about the controversy, can it sustain the growth of the league? And I agree with your explanation, JT, in terms of, listen, beyond this year, moving forward, she's either going to be out of the league in a couple years because she didn't live up to the hype, or she is going to be that next pioneer of the game and take it to the next level. Either way, I think by the end of this year, all that controversy we're talking about right now, teams playing her, physical, or if there's dirty plays or whatever it may be, and for whatever reason, or her teammates don't like her for whatever reason, after this season, I think that all goes away one way or another. Whether she's not playing good, then they're not D'ing up the same way. She's not getting the spotlight. People don't hear about it anymore. Or if she balls out and is like LeBron, Steph Curry, guess what? There's going to be a certain amount of respect in the league that, hey, we're not testing her like she was a rookie anymore. And I think that controversy goes away. So the controversy can't sustain the growth of the league.
It can, because as long as she is in the league, it will always be there. There will always be because guess what? The controversy around her has nothing to do with basketball. That's why it will always be there. It will always be there.
I understand, but JT, if she's scoring 35, 45 a game, a lot of that controversy, it honestly is not going to come up as much because she's playing way too well. People eventually will come. So let's
look at that scenario. Let's say Caitlin Clark averages 30 next year, right? And let's say Angel Reese also does well, but Caitlin Clark's doing better. But they're both really good players. You don't think there's going to be controversy around her? Like, there's always going to be something that these non-basketball fans will be able to attach themselves to that will be two-sided.
But so it still goes back to my other point of controversy cannot sustain a league. And that's why, if you let me finish, I'm going to go back to the first answer is the true new fans are there because of the rookies and Caitlin Clark. They are the college basketball fans that maybe didn't watch the WNBA before, but now are because of Caitlin Clark and the rookies. And those are the fans that can sustain the growth of the league, because the fans that are there just for the controversy, JT, they're not going to the games. They're not buying the WNBA League Pass. They're not buying merchandise. They're watching those 5-second clips of the incident, looking at all the comments, and then trying to come on a show like ours to debate about it. But they're not watching the games. They're not watching basketball. Again, they're not buying any of the stuff that makes the WNBA money. That's the difference. And that's why controversy cannot sustain the growth of the league, because they need players, these rookies in particular, to ball out. And like I said, if Caitlin Clark is scoring 40 a game or scoring 30 in a triple-double, the game, her play will take care of a lot of the other stuff. It has been proven through time. When you play really well, a lot of the loud voices go down. When MJ won his first title, it was no more, you can't be like Magic, you can't be like Bird. Guess what? He's better than those guys. That is part of the way it is with sports in a way, but the controversy cannot sustain it. It just cannot.
Y'all heard it here first. He said controversy cannot sustain the league. But speaking of leagues, let's go to the NBA finals predictions. I feel like I've been waiting forever for a basketball game in the NBA. So finals start tomorrow, Thursday. So we're about to make our predictions. Don's going to be wrong, but he's going to rave about his players. So we're going to give our thoughts on that. So we're going to start off first. Which team or player is under the most pressure? I actually want to go to Don first because I'm very interested how he's going to go with this.
Which team or which player or team has the most pressure? Woo! I mean, I think it's
I want to see you sweat. Come on, say something.
I think it's the easy answer. I'm surprised you let me go first. It's Jason Tatum. He's been to 5 conference finals. He went to the 2022 finals. The East was a walkthrough. Let's face it, with all the injuries and upsets, It was a walkthrough. If they lose, he'll be 0-2 in the finals after a 64-win season. He's now eligible for a historic $315 million Supermax extension. All right. So don't play bad and lose and choke it away, because the only team that right now can give it to you is the Celtics. And we've seen it before. The Celtics are not afraid to make big moves when things don't work out. Isaiah Thomas, see ya. Welcome Kyrie. Oh, Kyrie, it ain't working out. See ya. Let's go sign somebody else. Gordon Hayward, you come in on a big contract. Oh, you get injured. You're not working. You're out. Ime Udoka. Oh, he doesn't do something right off the court. You're out. We'll make a big change.
Want to say what he did, but that's all right.
Even though you took us to the 2022 NBA Finals. So all I'm saying is Boston in the city holds the Celtics different than any other Boston sports team in the city. Tatum needs to win there to be a legend. I've told you this in the other show, and I'll leave it at this. Even if he goes somewhere else and wins a title and doesn't win it in Boston, people in Boston will look at his career as a failure because he couldn't do it in Boston. It's because it's the Celtics organization. It's Celtics Lakers. You got to win there if you want to be that legend.
All right, Coach, you agree with him, or you got somebody else?
Oh my God! Nah, I think
Come on over, Coach.
I think he hacked into my notes.
He's been known to do that.
Yeah, I think he has. He's been emailing me all day, so I think he might have.
Coach, you the IT guy. I know nothing about it. I come to you for my IT questions.
Some reverse engineering over there. No, I actually do agree with that. Yeah, Jason Tatum. I actually had I was going in between. I was looking at a combo, but I think kind of looking at the next thing we're gonna probably talk about. But with Tatum and Boston, I mean the expectations that were set for them going into this season, it's conference finals, NBA finals, championship, or bust. And I think that I think that what Don was saying is right on point. He has to win it there. If he doesn't, it's going to be a scar. And I don't know if I don't know where he fits or how he recovers. If he's not there and he's somewhere else and ends up winning it somewhere else, I don't know. Because Boston is definitely a place where when the championship expectation is there, you need to win it. And so if there was no expectation, then hey, we could be talking about something else. But the expectation is there. Being in the finals in the 2022, yep. And then now, right? So so two finals. You get multiple conference finals. It's time. I'm gonna leave it right there because I'll start getting into predictions in a minute.
we're coming up on that.
I know.
You already know how it is.
I'm gonna pump the brakes on this.
Yeah, Coach, you're already a pro at this. See, you already know.
Don, I disagree with you on one point. We act like whether Tatum wins or not is going to affect him getting the Supermax. There's a bunch of guys in the league that got Supermaxes. But you have not been in this position.
But JT, you got to remember something. He only can get that Supermax.
But I know that. But he got to get a max contract as long as he's in the league. Like somebody going to pay up for him.
I understand that, but he can only get that $315 million.
I get that. I get that. But you guys are right. It's a sweep. It's Jason Tatum. We throw around words like superstar, top 10 player the last 5 years, and he got to get it done. Like if he loses this finals, massive legacy hit. Next one. Who's the X factor in this series? This is always an interesting question when we have this show. But Coach, I'm gonna go with you first because I don't really care what he got to say about it.
Yeah. So X factor. This is where I was doing a little flip flopping, Bucci, when I came on. So I'm gonna go with what I'm thinking right now in this moment. The X factor is everybody on the Mavericks team outside of Luka and Kyrie. All right, now, hear me out. I say that because Boston is going to do what Boston's going to do defensively, and Boston has opportunities to switch up things. They may be a little bit more flexible with matchups than maybe Dallas is, But Luka and Kyrie, those two guys, it amazes me how Kyrie Irving is. I mean, ball on the string. We do drills like this in sports, in basketball, and a ball on the string, work on the ball. I mean, one amazing ball handler, right? And for a guy that can handle the ball like that and do all the things with the ball in his hands to play off the ball is amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. And so when I take those two guys, and those two guys are so good that no matter what you do to them, they have a counter for it. So I say the X factor is everybody on Dallas team outside of those two guys, because Boston's going to have to try to do something with those guys. Like, they can't take away both of them. They can try to take away certain things from either one of them, but whatever they do, they're going to make the right play, and they're going to make the play, and they may put it into the hands of those other guys. And if those other guys can't produce, then they can forget any chance. They had no chance to win this series. But if those other guys can produce, Boston got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he said the Scrubs got to pull their weight. Nah.
He said, I'm playing it safe. I'm taking the whole Dallas roster.
The Scrubs got to pull their weight. Nah, who you got?
See, Coach, JT puts words in your mouth. You got to be careful. You got to be careful around him. Listen, who immediately jumped to my mind as an X factor, Jrue Holiday. Like, he will need to make plays on offense to help Brown and Tatum, because we won't know exactly. Obviously, Porzingis is supposed to play in game one, but we don't know how he's going to come back. And to be honest, Boston in the playoffs, 9-1 without Porzingis. And their record in the regular season's pretty darn good without him.
42 plus wins without him.
Yeah. I mean, they won 2/3 of their games without him. So, like, to me, Porzingis is not an X factor. But the reason why they're getting the job done, yes, of course, Brown and Tatum, but this is the NBA Finals now. We know the way the playoffs are. You need that third guy. You need that third scorer. You need that guy that can make plays. And speaking of that, what did he do? 28 points in game one against the Pacers. They came back and won at the end. Game three, his defensive play, I think on Nembhard, sealed the deal. So he won them 2 games right there. He's a prior champ with the Milwaukee Bucks, and he does all those intangibles. And I know some people don't like, he's got the it factor. What are intangibles? But listen, I don't know, because I don't coach him every day. I'm not around the guy every day, but he has the intangibles, right? He's not going to be scared to go up against Kyrie and Luka. Are they better players than him? Sure. But let's face it, Jrue Holiday is no scrub. Like, he's a hell of a player. And if he comes the ball and he's that deciding X factor, and it's not one of the 12 other guys that Coach Franklin's taking on Dallas, like, Boston's going to win because of Jrue Holiday, along with what Tatum and Brown do. But if Tatum and Brown do what they do and no one else helps in Boston, it's a wrap. Dallas is going to win. So I think that's why it's Jrue Holiday, because he's probably going to get assigned one of the 2 guys, right?
Probably Kyrie.
Yeah.
Right. I like these answers. I think the Scrub answer beats yours. But I'm gonna give my honest opinion.
Strength in numbers.
Only reason I'm naming this player is because I've seen enough of this guy as a Heat fan to know that when he playing well, he gonna mess up your day. And I want to say the F word, but I'm not gonna do it because Don gonna be very mad if I say that on this show. But this dude absolutely F's up your day when he's playing well. The easy X factor is Derek White. Like, he can be the third wheel in so many different scenarios. He could be the scorer. He could be a defender. Like, he is just, when he is playing well, you in trouble. And I hate that. Every game that my Heat have lost in that playoff, in any playoffs we played against Boston, is because Derek White did something he wasn't supposed to be doing. So I think the same thing going to happen to the Mavericks, because I don't think they play as good a defense as the Heat. So if Derek White is doing Derek White playoff things, he's going to be the X factor to beat. But I mean, hey, look, I can go with the Scrubs too, because if Dan Gafford and PJ Washington out there put 20 points, then that's going to be a good thing too. All right.
So, hey, JT, I think Isaiah Ray is talking about you. He said, I don't think y'all know basketball. Isaiah, thanks for watching. I think JT, he was talking about you there.
Isaiah ain't talking to me.
You don't know basketball.
I know he ain't talking to me.
We appreciate you watching, though.
Thanks for watching. What's one storyline that will define this series? Coach, I'm coming to you with this one first.
My initial thought was, and I'm actually changing up on it, but my initial thought was Luka and Kyrie, which is probably a big obvious one for either side you're looking at. But I think that the storyline might actually be this conversations that been happening about Jaylen Brown being snubbed as a all NBA, all NBA player, first team. And how does he respond to that in this moment with this team? Because, does that cause any kind of, disconnect between he and Jason Tatum? Does he start to feel a certain way? How does he play through this particular moment? Because with those two, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, both of those guys need to be on it in order for Boston to win this championship. And I think Jaylen Brown's smart enough. We hear about it if we listen to the off the court stuff and how smart that guy is. He's probably smart enough to not let it affect him during the course of the series. But you never know. So I will be watching for the cohesiveness between those two all-stars during the course of the series, and to see if this is second time around. How are they going to handle it if Dallas is keeping the pressure on from a series level, not talking about individual game to game, but a series level, and Dallas is there? Who's going to be the man? Who's going to be the man between those? Who's going to be the man in Boston to say we're not losing a second NBA final in 3 years?
According to Don, it's going to be Drew Holiday. But Don, what's the one storyline that's going to define the series?
So I mentioned this 2 weeks ago on our show. Check it out from 2 weeks ago if you haven't. When I said it's going to be Dallas and Boston, JT disagreed. He thought Indiana was going to win or something in OK City or something. But I had mentioned it's Kyrie going back to Boston. We know how the Boston sports fans are, and we don't always agree with them. Kyrie going back, I think they're going to be ruthless to him. And I think if Dallas can harness that negative energy, right, that they're going to have toward the Mavs and in particular Kyrie, and use it to their favor and take game one or game two, they win the series. It's a wrap. If Dallas leaves Boston with a win in one of those first two, it's over. It's done. All right. Because Boston fans are going to feel a little insulted and hurt if they allow Kyrie to come on their court and to take a game. And I think that's going to give so much confidence to Dallas. And Kyrie's on a mission. I don't know if we've ever seen him play like this and be as focused as he is. And I just don't think that the Boston fans are going to impact him or the Mavericks, even though it's going to be a story. It's going to be the story just based on the way he left.
All right. I like both of those answers. I'm going to go with probably a storyline to me that's not obvious to you guys is which one of these coaches is going to make an all-time name for themselves? Because both of them had heavy questions so far in their careers as coaches coming into this moment. Mazzulla, we already know, was he ready to take over a team that was this ready to win a championship when Ime had them going in the right direction? He kind of struggled a little bit out of the gate and has been inconsistent, but here they are. Jason Kidd, before this stop, fired. People thought he wasn't a really good coach. They thought he only got coaching jobs because the players liked him. Here he is, first guy to coach Luka to an NBA Finals. So I want to see which coach is going to actually put on their best effort and make a name for themselves and enhance their legacy as a coach, because they're both in the same exact spots. And one of them could really, really enhance their all-time coaching legacy by putting on the masterclass. Like, imagine if one of these teams gets swept. What are we going to be saying about that coach?
Ooh.
Like, and where are you going to start putting them in like the hierarchy of coaches? So them two got the most to gain out of this finals. Like, Jason Tatum will be fine. He'll be ringless, but he'll be rich. Like, I want to see Jason Kidd versus Mazzulla, which one of those guys is going to step up. That's my storyline.
Hey, put him on the court, put the ball in their hand to see if Jason Kidd still got it.
Hey, I heard about Mazzulla at West Virginia.
At West Virginia. Cy House, right? Cy House in the house. That's Coach Cy. JT, we got to have him on the show. He's like the World Wide West of the DMV area, as I call him. He says Boston is going to sage TD Garden after Kyrie torches them. So they might have to. They might have to.
All right. We're going to roll through these two really quick. I just need one word answers from you guys. The MVP of the finals will be, Coach.
Let's go give him my next one. Luka or Tatum.
You gotta pick one.
You gotta pick one. We didn't bring you on for that.
Yeah, come on, man.
All right, Luka.
Come on.
Luka.
Yep.
Don, I know where you're going with this. Go ahead and say it.
Luka.
All right, it's a sweep. It's gonna be Luka. And the winner will be, give me the team and how many games, Coach.
I'm gonna go with the Mavericks, and I'm saying 6.
I agree. Dallas in 6.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. What I said 2 weeks ago. Mavs in 5. If they win that first game, Boston gonna go in the tank mentally this game. I seen them do it against the Heat. I know it's in their DNA.
All right. So everyone's favorite segment. Forget about it or Fugazi. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read a statement. All right, and if you agree with it, Coach. You're going to say, forget about it. If you agree with it, you think it's a good take, you're going to say, forget about it. If you disagree with it, you think it's a bad take, bad statement, you're going to say, Fugazi. All right? All right. So first,
they say don't make it no better.
First one. Listen, Coach Franklin is a big Dallas Cowboys fan, so this is of particular interest to him. CJ Stroud says Dak is a top 5 QB. So it's got to be true.
Fugazi.
Oh, he went against his own guy.
Hey, I've never been a huge fan of Dak. I think I probably told you that, man. I'm a big Romo guy, man, and I've never attached myself to Dak. I like him. He's a good quarterback. Top 5. Ooh, that's a stretch. That for me, that's a stretch, and that's my quarterback. All right. I'm just keeping it real.
Hey, you know what, man? This is what I can't stand about some fans. As a Miami Dolphins fan, you don't understand what it's like to have a good quarterback. Like we never had one except for Dan Marino. So for you guys to just name all these options and be like, nah, that one's not good enough. Y'all tripping. I'm actually gonna say forget about it because outside of Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, like what other quarterbacks can you consistently unanimously put in the top 5? Because the ones that you want to, they all have the same question marks at time as Dak. Like Herbert, Burrow, Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, like all those guys got their moments where they don't look like top 5 quarterbacks. And they all got their concerns, whether it's, not being consistent with play, injuries. Like I've seen Dak put together a body of work where I'm like, look, he's going to give me 4,000 yards, 35 to 40 touchdowns, and they're going to have a winning record. Like to me, I think you can make a strong case that he could be in the top 5 because he's doing the exact same things that your other 2 or 3 guys that you're putting in the top 5 are doing. Only difference is he plays for the Cowboys, and when he fails, is amplified. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, you said could be too, JT. Just want to make sure we add that.
Yeah.
He could be in the top 5.
I like that, Coach. I like that. Yes, call him out.
I'm just saying, like I love Dak, and I feel like if he's not on y'all team, y'all gonna regret it. Like you don't know what you got until it's gone. So I think he could be in the top 5.
And that's fine, JT. Like we get what you're saying about appreciating the quarterback position, but
no, I'm asking you. Just say your answer.
The statement is the statement. Listen,
I'm trying to pile on. Say your answer.
I respect CJ, the quarterback. I respect
CJ also put himself in the top 5.
Hey,
that's what I'm saying. Like
promote
CJ,
yourself.
CJ,
We're not talking
like a top 5 quarterback last year.
We're
At
not-
times, yes, and at times he did not.
So, and I respect his football opinions, but like I can't put Dak in the top 5 yet. Now, I agree. Like I think I'm a fan of Dak, but Dak hasn't taken that next step to where it's like he's definitely in the top 5, and that's why I still think he can get there, but he's running out of time, and I just don't have him in that top 5. So I'm gonna go for Fugazi.
All right, next one. Serious note: lack of player accountability is erasing the value of NBA coaches. Forget about it, or Fugazi. Go to the coach first.
Coach, you're the expert in this one. Former player and a coach. So you've been on both sides of this.
Yeah. Okay. Lack of player accountability is erasing the value.
Hey, this isn't Family Feud where you get extra time
if you have the host repeat it. I'll say which one is true. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. I'll go forget about it. I don't have a really good answer but players, I tell you, when players can't be held accountable or not held accountable, it lessens what I'm trying to, as a coach, trying to get across to those players. And you know, at the NBA level, it's and I'm thinking about this and obviously I got to think about this from as a high school coach and a youth coach, because there is a difference between those two levels. At those two levels, I'm sorry I had to pop out there, but there's a difference between those two levels. So I can only imagine that at the NBA level, that it's probably even more so. It's even harder if players aren't held accountable, because they're already making all this money. They're already the divas. They already, feel like they're on top. Some of them, the perception that we have of them. And so with that, I think it does lessen the value of a coach if players aren't held accountable, because if the league can't hold them accountable or the organizations can't hold them accountable, what you expect me to do with them as a coach?
Well, so Coach, I'm going to say Fugazi, because this is the way I looked at it was the value of the coach was higher before because there was more player accountability before and so on and so forth. But this is why I say Fugazi. Star players have always had their way for the most part in basketball, even in the past, right? Like Magic won that power struggle with the Lakers in the early 80s, where Pat Riley was hired because they fired Paul Westhead, who, by the way, had won the title the previous year in 1980. So Doug Collins, Michael Jordan supposedly loved him as a player, but Doug Collins was gone, right? It wasn't MJ and the other Bulls. It was Doug Collins was out. And I think plus there's a difference of pressure and standards nowadays too. Owners are less patient. If there's a win now mentality by the team owners, there's no patience for rebuilding, and coaches always get the axe first. Like it's kind of always been that way in the NBA, and now you're seeing it in the other leagues too. It doesn't mean that the lack of player accountability is erasing the coaching values. Like, is there a little bit less of player accountability? Sure, but they're also making a lot more money, so you can't really move them out. But it's always kind of been like that. I gave you some examples, but you can go through the history. Very few coaches win that power struggle against the players. And the reason maybe why coaching value is going down is we're in a win now mentality. Owners are throwing all this money out. They need a ring in their return, and they're going to blame the coaches.
Don, I got to disagree with you. It's forget about it. And the reason why that's the case is just look at the coaches that get fired nowadays. Coaches get fired for doing their job. Like, guys will get teams that have never been good, 50, 60 wins, and they're getting fired. Like, look at Monty Williams. Like, that Phoenix Suns team, you don't think they would love to have him back right now? Like, you can't keep firing coaches because players aren't executing and getting it done on the court. Like, that's why there's a coaching carousel. Like, trust me, if Mazzulla loses this, we've said it before, he might be fired. And it's like, a coach that's taken a team to Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals the past 2 years, like if this were the NFL, like that guy would have a job for life. So I do think the NBA players not being held accountable makes it tougher to value the coaches even more. Like Budenholzer is another guy. Like I thought he was doing great. He won a championship, got fired. So, I mean, what more can you do?
Exactly, but that's my point.
What more can you do to keep your job? Because you're doing your job. Like, you're doing your job.
But that is my point. It's not because of the lack of player accountability. It's the front offices. It's the money. It's the
they don't want to blame the players. They don't want to blame the players. You can't get rid of all of the players. You can't get rid of all the players. And listen, I know I'm right because Cy House, Coach Cy, says, "Amen, Don." He knows what's up. He wants you to wrap this up.
He says GMs also use the coach as their scapegoat because they know it buys them time, but the narrative blames players. All right, so last one: Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle. They got paid, and other wide receivers. Offseason contract extensions are disproving the myth that receivers don't matter. So that's a double negative, but essentially, is it disproving the myth that the receivers are actually maybe like valued actually? Coach?
Man, I think this is a forget about it. I think. But when I answered, y'all can tell me if I'm on Fugazi or forget about it.
Okay.
I was a former wide receiver in my football days, from youth sports up through high school, and was going to play in college, but decided to play basketball instead. So as a wide receiver, I've always thought the wide receivers were important. All right. So this was kind of a trick question for me. No. So when I think about the wide receiver position, I've always thought it was an important position, especially as the NFL rules changed. As the NFL's rules changed, the wide receiver that could stretch the field, the wide receiver that was physical, the wide receiver that was fast, I think it made that having a guy like that made a quarterback's life easy because you can't touch him. You can't harass, you can't put your hands all over them now like they used to be able to do. And so as long as that receiver is not frail and weak, any touch you make, you're gonna get a call. And so I've always thought that the receivers were important. So I think this is a forget about it.
Yeah, you're right. It's forget about it. You're right. You're right. Hey, that's why we play the game. It's not clear. Right. So like we got people guessing. That's what we like. Uncertainty. Right.
Yeah. But I always thought that was important. I was a part of the 88 club. The Ocho.
So you got it right. It's forget about it. JT.
My bad. I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up after Charlie Ward over here. He's like, I chose to play basketball.
Hey, JT, I saw my future. I was like, I kind of want my legs. I didn't get hit much in those early days, but I figured I was going to get hit a little bit more in college. So I said, you know what? I'm going to leave that alone.
No, I agree. It's forget about it because majority of quarterbacks are only as good as the weapons they have on their team. Like every quarterback that they're looking to get over the hump, what do? They go get them an elite wide receiver one and they take off. Josh Allen did it with Diggs. Tua did it with Tyreek. Jalen Hurts did it with A.J. Brown. Even Kirk Cousins, speaking of Justin Jefferson, he had a career resurgence and parlayed that into another $100 million ripoff contract because he had JJ to throw to. So I think it's true. Like this is showing that this is the blueprint. The wide receivers do matter. And even more so, not just the wide receiver ones, the wide receiver twos matter too, because Jalen Waddle's a number 2. We didn't talk about it, but Devontae Smith also got a big extension. He's a wide receiver too. So the wide receiver twos also matter as well. So I think it's forget about it.
I'm going to say Fugazi. I disagree, and the reason
of course
being,
you do.
Just
of course
look
you
at
do
the examples.
Because you hate running backs and you hate receivers.
Whoa, I love receivers.
Nah,
I'm a former receiver coach. I love receivers. We got to throw in all of football.
He only likes receivers when he's getting all the targets.
There's
Donna's a diva receiver. I know. I played with him.
There's never enough.
I'm actually one of those. I'm always open.
I would have thrown you the ball. You can get open.
Wow. So listen, the Chiefs trade Tyreek. If the receiver position was so valued, and I'm not saying it should not be valued. All I'm saying is the reality of it in the NFL is it's not as valued as we think, or that we think it should be, because the Chiefs trade Tyreek Hill. He was still in his late 20s. All right. And what did they do? They went back-to-back titles without him. Those teams that JT's mentioning with the high-priced ones and some of the better twos that are high-priced, guess why they're paying those guys? It's to help the young, inexperienced quarterbacks on rookie contracts, because that's the only way they can get the quarterback to be better. But when you look at teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, all four with great quarterbacks, all four with contracts that are on their second contracts now, meaning taking up a lot of cap space, that all of this money, if they would be able to do it, they would have paid the receivers. You don't see none of those guys paying those receivers. They're actually trading them.
What are you talking about?
Buffalo got rid of them. If he was that valuable,
problematic.
It does. But that's my point. They're not valuing them the way we think they are.
What are you talking about? All these receivers just got paid this offseason. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you could throw him in this group.
You missed it.
Samuel got paid last year. Brandon Ayuk's about to get paid. CeeDee Lamb's about to break the bank.
Okay, so
Jamar Chase about to break the bank.
So
if you're saying they don't matter, the league is disagreeing with you because they keep getting paid.
JT, 5 guys does not
I
increase.
just named half the league.
But let me explain again.
And you're playing right into my point. I said majority of quarterbacks need this. You name the one guy that don't need it. Patrick Mahomes. Because guess what? They already paid their wide receiver one. His name is Travis Kelce.
JT, again, Kansas City doesn't have the elite high-priced receiver.
They do. His name is number 87.
Not the same, because he can block. He can do other things. Buffalo doesn't have that. Baltimore doesn't have that. And Cincy, guess what? They're not paying T. Higgins. If they were so valued,
they're going to pay Jamar Chase. Somebody will pay T. Higgins.
JT, that's my point. It's one receiver. It doesn't mean all of the receivers are valued, because if that was the truth, they would say, you know what? We can forego linemen. We can forego really good defensive players. Let's keep Higgins. It's not as important as we think.
You show me or name me a wide receiver too that you consider elite that you don't that has not got paid yet, that you don't think will get paid.
JT, we can go back the past 10 years. One Super Bowl.
We're talking about right now.
But this is my point of why I'm saying they're not as valued as we think. The past 10 years, I can think of one team that had an elite, high-priced receiver, and that was the Rams with Cooper Kupp. Go look at all those other, and Tyreek the 1 year. That's it. 2 of the last 10.
So AJ Brown don't got a big contract?
He didn't win a Super Bowl. Get your facts right.
Oh my God.
That's my whole point.
We talked about this already.
You proved my
2
point.
quarterbacks have won 10 of the Super Bowls, last 10 Super Bowls. Mahomes and Tom Brady. That's not fair. I said majority of them do.
Seattle? Who was the elite receiver on Seattle when they won in 2014? Who was it? That's 10 years ago. Who was it? Yeah, see? There wasn't one. There wasn't
one. But they had the best defense of all time.
There wasn't one. And that's my point. That is more valuable.
That is very rare. That's one example. I tell you, man, you say you love receivers. You're not proving it on this show.
Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill, they're the only 2 in the past since Michael Irvin and Larry Franklin. Coach Franklin, you're very familiar with that. Those are the last 2 guys since Irvin that were elite, high-priced receivers that won Super Bowls. Sorry,
that says more about the team than it does about whether or not they got paid or not. It's about the receivers are getting paid. Does it make them more valuable? Yes, you get paid more when people find you more valuable.
Every position gets paid. Kickers get paid so much money. It's a valued position, or is it not? I don't know.
Wide receiver 2s are getting paid $80 million. I disagree with you.
Who are those teams? That's why your team doesn't win ever. That's why.
Because we've never had a quarterback since Dan Marino.
Exactly. So you try to go get these receivers and you overvalue them.
Like Pittsburgh.
Why don't you value quarterbacks? That is the norm. Instead, you try to go value.
We are valuing our quarterback, even though I don't think we should. We about to pay him,
and that's why you're not going to win.
All
right. So, Coach Franklin, before we wrap up the show, thank you again for coming on. We'd love to have you back on in the future. Listen, to talk basketball. We know you're a Cowboys football fan, right? So we'd even love to have you back on for that. So hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you again for your time, and hang on. We'll talk to you off the set as well.
I did appreciate you guys. It's a lot of fun.
All right. So to the fans and listeners out there, thank you again for listening. Please subscribe to us, JT and the Don, All Sports Podcast. We can be found on all of the major platforms. And remember to also, we're presented by Give Us a Shot Network. So please subscribe to their YouTube channel. Again, Give Us a Shot Network. And remember to please follow us on social media. But if you subscribe to us, remember, if you like what we do, leave that 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. You can follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Dawn. We can be found on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. So, JT, fix that frown. I know I won again. All right, you can smile. We know I won.
Ridiculous.
I got you all rattled at the end. I love that.
You being ridiculous, man.
I love that.
Don't trade for none of these unvaluable receivers in Dynasty. You better not hit my line for nothing.
I'm not. I got all the valued ones. You got
the old ones that already been paid past their prime.
So great episode again. Thank you to Coach Franklin and JT. Until the next episode. See ya.
Peace.